It's almost the end of the year. And if you're like me, you're maybe thinking about New Year's resolutions. Maybe you don't call them resolutions, but maybe there are some things that you would like to do differently in the coming year. 2020 took a lot away. I used to walk to work every day. I used to eat a little better, and so I see this threshold and think, oh well, as I cross this, I want to do better. I want to eat better. I want to walk more. I want to take care of myself in different ways. Maybe I want to read more. Something. I just start chewing on this. So I want to talk about the idea of resolution and what we bring with us into the coming year. There's a passage in Fukan Zazengi, this is Dogen's instructions for Zazen, I really love. He's talking about different paths. And he writes, in general, in our world and others, in both India and China, all equally hold the Buddha seal. While each lineage expresses its own style, they are all simply devoted to sitting, totally blocked in resolute stability. Although they say that there are 10,000 distinctions and 1,000 variations, they just wholeheartedly engage the way in Zazen. I love this passage because I love this phrase, resolute stability. What does it mean to find resolute stability? Stability is not something that we just choose. It involves a kind of balance. And if you've ever been off balance, you know that choosing balance isn't as easy as it sounds. You can't just will yourself into that place. In order to find balance, something natural has to happen. Something has to align. Right? We discover balance. We ease into it. So there's something organic in the idea of stability. Something that's beyond any decision that we can make about it. But this is resolute stability. So it's all of that plus a choice, plus a kind of determination. I think about this all the time. It is for me one of the most key expressions of what this practice is. When we talk about resolutions, about New Year's resolutions, there's a goal, there's a plan, there's something that we're trying to achieve. And it's measurable, right? We did it or we didn't. And most often by about day 3, we didn't. And then we have to make this choice. Do I keep going? Do I let it go? Right? I've already failed. That's very different from something like vow. Vow isn't so easily measured. It isn't so easily taken up, and it isn't so easily put down. Now, I've talked a lot about vow and about the 4 vows that we chant all the time. And while I find those 4 to be a beautiful encapsulation of vow. Vow is not those 4 vows. Vow is something that goes much deeper than that. It's something that we know. It's something that we know before we ever read those 4 vows. It's the reason we came to this in the first place. We may not be able to articulate it. And some of us may never become intimate enough with it to ever feel that it's really guiding us. But it's there. It's pre-installed. That's how I see it. Vow is the thing that we know we have to do. The thing we know we have to do without anyone telling us, without anyone explaining it, without a sense of obligation, without any calculation in our mind of how can I get away with not doing it. Because you know that if you don't do it, you won't get away with it. You know what that is. I don't have to say what that is. Dogen doesn't need to say what that is. The Buddha doesn't need to say what that is. We can give it this shape or this shape or this shape. But it's inside you. And so we understand intuitively there's a difference between a resolution and a vow. If I make a resolution to eat better, to only eat healthy foods, that's negotiable. It's a guideline. But an opportunity will arise, and I'll make an exception for that. Or maybe in the context of this practice, I may even say, well, I'm going to sit every day. Well, that sounds very important. Right? Dogen in this quote is talking about Zazen, how important Zazen is. So I'm going to sit every day. But even as I say that, even if I say it with total sincerity, I understand that it's negotiable. I understand that circumstances can affect that goal because something can happen. Something can happen on some random Thursday morning. And that something is followed by something else, and the day kind of crumbles. And I go to bed that night and I realize I didn't sit. And I know that's okay. I know that the world doesn't hinge on me doing that thing in exactly that way. My life is not in the balance. But with vow, the vow that I'm talking about, you understand, I understand, we understand. It is not negotiable. There is no cheat day. There is no circumstance in which vow is put to the side. Because it doesn't apply here. The point of it is that it applies everywhere. It applies all the time. It's the thing you don't let go of, no matter what. And so we dig into this resolute stability. We dig into what it means to be stable. We dig into what it means to be intentional. And this isn't about some sort of movement forward. It isn't about self-development. It isn't about self-improvement. You already know what this is. Even if it's just a feeling. And so where you are, wherever you are, you dig your toes into the ground. So that you don't move. So that you don't move from that. And so that no wind can knock you over. Resolute stability is what vow looks like. It's what vow feels like. And vow is the reason that this resolute stability exists at all. Here, Dogen is talking about Zazen. He's talking about the whole practice as Zazen. That doesn't really go far enough. It's good. And I would offer that for many people who discover this resolute stability, they have discovered it through this practice of sitting in this way. To sit perfectly still, to be perfectly silent, to be doing nothing, and to be doing it with your whole body. To have the electricity of being so awake in what seems like non-action is one face of resolute stability. And so this is a place where we can come and find it. But if we imagine that this practice is just Zazen, then again it means that this practice has a beginning and an end. We hear a bell and the practice starts. We hear another bell and the practice ends, and then we're on pause. What we are tasked with finding, whether it looks like sitting at all, whether it looks like Zen at all, whether it looks like Buddhism at all, is that thing that's so fundamental that we carry it into every single breath. And we refuse to let anything move it out of the way. That's what this practice calls on us to do. That's what our lives call on us to do. To find that thread, to find that ground. So that whatever happens, we are always where we're supposed to be. So that whatever we lose, we don't lose that. So that whatever we fear, we don't fear that that is at risk. Because there is no gap between us and it. As we move into this next year, which we know, again, will be a hard year. We're not done. If you have some changes you'd like to make, that's good. And I wish you the best. I'm rooting for myself to not let some of those things go. But what I'm rooting for you really to do is to find today and tomorrow and in every day that resolute stability. In every step, to curl your toes into the ground. With every breath, to get a little heavier so that you are more solidly where you are now. Immovable. Maybe we can help each other.